I did say I was going to show you what the autocorrect did, and I actually didn't get around to it, so let's do that right now. I'm going to refresh my React Native app real quick, and notice I just clicked in here, so I see the email. If I start typing stuff right now, notice I'm just typing gibberish. You can't really see it because of the Pokemon there, but I'm just typing in gibberish, and it's not telling me to autocorrect anything. Like on iOS or Android, usually there's like some sort of like a help floater that'll come up and it'll say like, did you actually mean, this word, dumbass? This is not quite, what you're looking for, I'm sure. This isn't actually a word. If we switched this to true and ran this, and I started typing in like, let's misspell the word like help or something, or like we're on our way to spelling it, and it tries to tell us to autocorrect to gel. That's basically what this is. If you pass this in as true, or you just leave autocorrect in there, it's gonna assume that for your input boxes that you want autocorrect on, so it's gonna give you suggestions. If we go ahead and say false, which we want for our email, it's not going to have us autocorrect. We definitely don't want autocorrect inside of an email. That's just kind of bad user design. You don't want the app telling the person who's typing in their email, hey, I think you spelled your email wrong. I don't think that's a really good user experience there. All right, so let's keep writing some code here. Right below that item, we're going to add in another item, and I just kind of messed up. I want to close that. And we're going to open this up because we're going to put a couple things in here. We're also going to have a floating label inside of this item. Floating labels, I think, are pretty nice. And we will say in here label, like this. And we want password. And then right below this, we're going to put our input, which is the only other thing that we put inside here. So inside of input, there's going to be, it's most of the same stuff, so I'm actually going to copy this, which is usually not the best thing to do, but copy and paste that. The style, like I said, it's going to be the same style, but we're going to come back to that. Autocorrect false. On change text here, we're going to change this from email to password. And obviously we need to go up to the top here and add in password to our state. We'll just set that equal to nothing. Now the problem with this is if I save it and run it, something for the email, and I start typing into the password. Notice, like, I can see the password, this SDVD VSDSDV. We don't want that. We want that to come up with like those little bubbles, right? That say no, like, look, you can't look at the password. In order to do that, it's pretty simple. All you got to do is pass something, pass a prop into the input tag here. We can just say secure text entry, just like this, and we're going to save that. And when it reruns here, just looking at the password, if I try and type in the password, notice it bubbles in. You can't see it. Works just like you would expect on either iOS or Android. Okay, next on the list here, like right after the form, we're going to add in a button. So we'll go ahead and make a view tag. And we're going to immediately add in a style here with a margin top of 10. This is just to bump the button down a little bit from the input tag, just a little buffer there. We'll open up that view, and we're going to put a couple things inside here, mainly just the button with a text inside. So we'll say button, just like this. Open that up and throw a text in here. Oops, text. And there's going to be a couple things inside the button. The first thing we want to put in is just like, tell the button component that we're pulling from Native Base that we want to use primary, which is a, it gives it like a blue color, I believe. And then we want to add in block, which will just, make sure that this button is as long as this screen kind of. It's just like a longer button. And we're going to want an on press that's going to do nothing right now. We will go ahead and just set up that function though. So inside the on press, we'll say this.login, just like this. And we can just set up that function really easily by saying login, make this an ES6 arrow function, and we'll come back and put some stuff in that later. Inside the text here, we're going to say sign in / sign up. So That's right, we're going to be handling for whether or not someone signed in or signed up with the same button. So basically how it will work is if you don't have an account and you just put an email and password in and you hit it to sign in, if you don't have an account, it'll just make an account for you and then sign you in. So we have that all set up as one button here. We're not going to worry about 2 pages, one for making an account, one for signing in. We'll just keep it simple and just have one page, one button handle all of that. Now I did forget something. I almost forgot to add it in. Right after the input here, we're going to want to include button. That would have given us an error, a recoverable error, but an error nonetheless. So we got our email working, we got our password working, and then we got the button working here too. However, there's quite a few styles that we're kind of missing out here. We obviously want to get this centered down into the screen, maybe kind of fix up the button a little bit. So there's a couple things we want to add in. We'll cover the remainder of the styles, basically adding onto the styles object in the next video.